Welcome to this explainer. You know, millions of people flock to Osaka Castle every single year to snap that perfect vacation photo. But here's the crazy part. Almost none of them realize that what they are actually photographing is a massive historical illusion. Today, we're going to dig deep, literally, into this wild story of warfare, architectural cover-ups, and modern cultural clashes. Let's get right into it.
So, did you know the Osaka Castle you see today is actually a fake? Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy. You probably look at it and think you're staring at a pristine relic from the 1500s built by the legendary warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi. But actually, scratch that. The truth is way more complicated and, honestly, way more fascinating. The structure standing today, it's actually the third iteration of the castle, and it is hiding a massive secret right beneath its foundations.
Section 1. The Phantom Original Castle, Original Structure. To really wrap our heads around what we're looking at here, we have to physically peel back the layers of soil to reveal a cover-up so massive, an entire fortress literally had to be erased from the face of the earth.
This single piece of real estate has a wildly turbulent history. It was originally built in 1583 by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, but his dynasty? Well, it was pretty short-lived. By 1615, during the absolutely brutal summer siege, the castle fell to the rival Tokugawa clan. Just 5 years later, in 1620, the Tokugawa rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. Then, fast forward through centuries of crazy stuff like lightning strikes and fires, and the concrete structure we see today, that was actually constructed much later, in 1931.
Now, what's truly wild here is that the original castle is actually buried deep beneath your feet right now. See, when the Tokugawa shogunate took over, they didn't just, move in and redecorate. No way. They wanted to completely obliterate the Toyotomi legacy. So they hauled in countless tons of earth and literally buried the original stone walls under several meters of soil. They built a brand new elevated fortress directly on top of the old one just to assert their absolute dominance. Talk about a power move, right?
Moving on to Section 2. Toyotomi versus Tokugawa Clash of Eras. This is where this whole architectural story turns into an intense, high-stakes political rivalry. The stark visual contrast between these two eras is just undeniable. Hideyoshi's original castle was absolutely stunning. We're talking black lacquer walls, heavily decorated with gleaming gold leaf, all set up in a highly complex multi-tiered layout. The Tokugawa replacement, on the other hand, well, they prioritized sheer impenetrable mass. They went with a stark white and gray plaster look and consolidated the whole layout into a unified, flat stronghold. And they built it on some of the most massive imported stones in all of Japan.
So, that brings us to the structure that's actually standing today. Proposed by Mayor Seki Hajime back in 1931. It's kind of this unique concrete compromise that fuses both eras together. It's like a giant puzzle. The top floor features Toyotomi's signature black walls adorned with golden tigers and cranes. But the lower floors? Those are styled after the Tokugawa's white plaster. And perhaps the craziest fact of all, the whole shebang is built using modern steel-reinforced concrete, which, by the way, is exactly how it miraculously survived the air raids of World War II.
And those impenetrable stone foundations we talked about, they're the result of something called Tenka Bushin. This was a nationwide project and a massive display of absolute power. The Tokugawa shogunate basically forced 64 rival lords to literally build the fortress for them. By making these powerful lords spend vast amounts of their own wealth to haul gigantic stones, some were brought from islands far across the sea, the shogunate effectively drained their rivals' bank accounts. They practically bankrupted them just to prevent any future rebellions. It was a brutal but brilliant strategy.
All right, Section 3. Deadly stone wall traps. Traps of the fortress. Because, as you'll see, these weren't just big, expensive foundations. They were designed to be an absolutely lethal war machine.
To really understand how folks view these walls today, we have to look at a recent viral controversy. It perfectly highlights a massive misunderstanding of what these stones actually represent. Basically, a foreign tourist was filmed happily climbing the ancient stone walls for a photo op, totally unaware of the cultural taboo. In Japan, climbing these structures is seen as a huge desecration. But the tourist argued, hey, there were no do not climb signs, so it's perfectly fine. Well, as you can imagine, that ignited a fierce debate online about cultural respect and historical ignorance. Okay, let's dive into why climbing that wall is so historically wild. These walls are packed with deadly features designed specifically to, well, slaughter attackers. First, you have Ishiotoshi. These are hidden drop holes engineered to shower climbing enemies with heavy rocks or literally boiling water. Then there are Sanama, narrow loopholes that allowed defenders to safely fire arrows and matchlock guns.
and my personal favorite, Shinobi Geashi. These are specially angled overhangs built specifically to block invading ninjas from reaching the top. Seriously, ninja blockers. As historical experts pointed out during that whole viral incident, treating this lethal military structure like a jungle gym completely ignores its heavy, blood-soaked history. Historically speaking, standing on those stones meant risking your life. Countless samurai died at walls exactly like these, facing down a highly sophisticated defense mechanism. So, to locals, scaling the walls for a selfie isn't just dangerous, it hits a nerve because it's deeply disrespectful to a site of intense historical sacrifice.
Moving into Section 4, Modern Tourist Theme Park, Vibrant Cultural Hub. Today, however, this former bloody battlefield has been transformed into an entirely different kind of bustling center. 2.5 million. That is the staggering number of visitors from all over the world who explore the Osaka Castle Park every single year. It is a massive draw, offering something for everyone. We're talking morning joggers, hardcore history buffs, and tourists who are just looking for a beautiful aesthetic backdrop. And knowing all this history, it brilliantly unlocks a much richer experience for any visitor today. For instance, you can ride the Gozabane boat right on the inner moat, which is this stunning gold leaf replica of Hideyoshi's personal ship. You can grab a bite on the rooftop of Miraiza, a former military headquarters that now amazingly houses a massive action figure museum. And if you head inside the main keep to the second floor, you can even try on authentic replica samurai helmets. How cool is that? But the newest attraction, opened in 2024, is perhaps the most incredible of all. Down in an underground facility called the Toyotomi Ishigaki-kan, you can actually see Toyotomi's original chaotic walls. See, because Hideyoshi was in such a rush to build his fortress, his men collected literally anything made of stone they could get their hands on. You can actually see ancient sarcophagi, millstones, and even gravestones jammed into the foundational walls as recycled material. It's this raw, unpolished glimpse into the desperate speed of 16th century warfare sitting right beneath those perfectly sculpted Tokugawa stones.
Let's move to our final section, Section 5, a living cultural monument, respecting the past. Because as we've seen, Osaka Castle is far more than just a pretty building. It's a living, breathing testament to Japan's complex history. That whole viral wall climbing incident we talked about, it really taught us all a vital lesson in what we call cultural literacy. The idea that true tourism is about understanding and respecting the past, not just snapping photos. The outrage wasn't just about someone breaking a rule. It was a genuine plea from locals to travelers everywhere. When we visit historical sites, we have a responsibility to understand their context. Knowing that these stones were a site of fierce, deadly battles transforms a visit from a superficial photo op into a deeply meaningful cultural exchange.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder before you plan your next trip to Japan. When you stand before Osaka Castle, are you just looking at a simple tourist attraction? Or can you now see the phantom gold of Toyotomi, the absolute massive power of Tokugawa, and those silent, lethal traps hidden in plain sight? Armed with this knowledge, I guarantee your experience will never be the same. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep bringing that awesome curiosity to every new place you explore.
What is it about Japan that captivates you? Please let me know in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you so much for watching.